Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Activities for People Living at Home with Dementia. My name is Gail Snyder. I'm the Executive Director for Dementia Friendly Fort Worth, and we are proud to offer this program with funding from the Area Agency on Aging and United Way of Tarrant County. These programs are recorded and are made available through a YouTube channel for future use. And today, there we are. We have Artful Moments with Peggy Spear from the Amon Carter Museum of American Art, and we are talking about food today. Peggy?
Awesome. Thanks, Gail.
All yours.
All right, yep, perfect. And here we go. All right, gang. Today we're talking food because I'm sure if we're not talking about it, we're thinking about it, and we're prepping for tomorrow. So let us get into gear with some artworks from our collection. We're looking at quite a few today, so we're going to kind of move along, and then we've got a little fun talking activity for us to do at the end. So I'm sure many of you have either seen this online with us before, maybe someone over the summer showed it when I was on leave, or you've seen this beautiful painting on the walls in our museum in a past visit. This one is always on view. It never goes on loan. So this is one of the gems we have that will always be here for you. But it's called The Lobster. So the title gives a lot away, but what do we see?
Lobster.
Lobster.
A lobster. What else do we see?
Fruit.
Fruit.
Yeah.
What kind
Looks
of fruit?
like grapes.
Grapes. Grapes.
Is it an orange that big or a melon that big?
There's an orange here.
Okay.
A melon. Some people think it's a large mango. I mean, something bright and yummy looking.
Mm-hmm.
What about this? What does this look like to you?
Looks like a fig.
A fig, you think? Okay.
Apples or peaches?
I'm
Okay.
leaning more towards what Gail's seeing, but
Where is it that it's green?
what about this? Can you tell what this is?
Bib lettuce.
Yeah.
Celery
Funny inclusion, but yes, lettuce.
or celery?
Celery, possibly. And then what do we see right here?
Picture.
Picture. Do we have any guesses on what might be inside?
Mimosas. It's morning.
I want to be at, was it Myra that said that? I want to be at your table.
Yes.
Yeah. I like mimosas. That's actually the first time anyone has ever said mimosas. I love it. Any other guesses?
Orange juice.
Orange
Grape
juice.
juice.
Grape. Oh, grape juice. Yeah, because we see a big bounty of grapes.
In the olden days, it might have been wine.
You know what, Martha? That is actually a really good guess, given that this artist, his name's Arthur Dove, and he was a New Yorker, but he used to do, before he started painting, he was an illustrator. He drew, and he decided he wanted to leave that behind and go to France to learn how to paint. So if he's under any Parisian influence, that is a good bet. A vase of wine or a pitcher of wine.
There are also
Oh, go ahead.
there are also trees and flowers on the wallpaper behind the table.
Yes, that wallpaper,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The roses.
the roses, and he almost makes it a little hard to tell where the fruit stops and where the wallpaper starts.
Yeah,
At
exactly.
least that's how And we have every time we show this with school kids, immediately they find this squirrel that's in the top left corner.
Oh, wow. I didn't even notice the
I
squirrel.
know.
Well, there's
And
a
a bird.
bird too.
And the bird above it.
Oh my goodness. No one's ever pointed that bird out to me. You're right.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
On a
squirrel. I
roll
have
today.
a 2-year-old who notices every squirrel ever in our area. So I know that we need to find this problem.
Hey, Peggy.
Yeah.
Yesterday we had a thing where we were going through questions or trivia about the first Thanksgiving, and lobster was one of the things that they served at the first Thanksgiving.
I believe it. I was going to say this. He's a New Yorker. He's up in New England, close to
Yeah, New England, yeah.
know that they've got these on their plates. I grew up in Maryland, as I told you all before, and we always had oysters at our Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There was always one of the cousins was always really good at shucking the oyster because you don't want to trust me with an oyster shucker. So that was always something we would eat, which I miss down here, but new traditions. All right, so we're seeing all sorts of fruit in what feels like a really beautiful, room with wallpaper. Do we notice anything about the table?
It looks like it's been folded up and put on the table.
Like the tablecloth?
It's got creases in it.
Yeah, and it looks like a nice white linen tablecloth.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So something you might use for a nicer dinner. So
Well,
yeah, go ahead, Gail.
I wonder why he made the decision to put the folds in the tablecloth.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a kind of a funny inclusion, isn't it?
It is, because normally if you're doing something fancy, you would find a way to press the wrinkles out.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Except it doesn't work.
Except it doesn't. The second you sit
I
down,
quit trying because I can't get wrinkles out of anything anyway. So I think I own an iron somewhere.
somewhere in your house.
I couldn't tell you where mine is either.
I used mine on Sunday or Saturday.
The iron
I
clothes
use mine weekly.
You win.
Yeah, I use also. I find it very peaceful to stand and iron.
Oh,
Yeah.
then you might get a big bag of laundry on your doorstep.
That's all right.
That's funny.
Something else, the picture matches the wallpaper.
Yes.
That's
Yes,
a really
that's what I
wonderful
thought.
observation. You're right. It's pulling the background to the foreground as well.
Yes.
Meaning that illusion of what's coming at you and what's in the back. So this particular artist, he was a big New Yorker. He went to France. He came back to New York, and then he was in the avant-garde, kind of the elite group of artists that were coming out of New York. And this was not met with critical acclaim. It was not at all well received. The American critics thought he was trying too hard to be like a French artist, and we want to leave France in France, and we want to do our thing in the U.S. And so the colors were too bright, too vivid, which, I mean, it's so cheery and wonderful. How can you not love it? So he, after this painting, this was the last representational artwork he ever did, and then he moved into complete abstraction.
So
Oh,
Peggy,
wow.
Yeah.
you said that the critics in New York didn't like this painting. Were there different theories on or schools of art, and was this come from a particular school of art?
So Dove ran with a group of artists that they don't have an official name because some of the artists were like in different groups. There was the Ashcan group, there was the Stieglitz Circle. So he was kind of in the Stieglitz Circle, and Stieglitz was a photographer that owned a very famous gallery in New York, and he was married to Georgia O'Keeffe.
Really?
Oh.
Yeah, he himself was a well-known photographer. So Stieglitz was the dealer for a lot of these avant-garde artists of the day. And so there were people who were interested in it, but it was a certain niche of art collectors who were really finding it. And when he moved into abstraction, then he became, his work was well received because that's what the US was doing at the time. Whereas this was really, coming out of France. And so you can kind of think of if you can think of Matisse or Cézanne, very famous French painters of the day, that's what he was trying to do. And this idea of a still life was very Parisian, very European, not at all at that time American content. So you know what, I'm gonna do my own thing. I'll do abstract and you guys will like me.
Is the yellow thing that's kind of either in front of or on the tree, is that the leaves from the grape, or is?
We don't know. To me, it looks like it's the wallpaper, but it fits really nicely with the grape. So it's part of that blurring of lines. What do you think it is, Mimi? Do you think it's the grapes?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's the leaves from the grapes, but I'm not sure what grape leaves look like.
They kind of look like that.
The only other thing I can think of is this a really huge butterfly.
Maybe a mutant butterfly.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to leave our friend, Mr. Dove. Totally different vibe. But we're going to
Wow.
this drawing, or this is a lithograph with then the artist went in and applied watercolor. So, you know, we're gearing up for Thanksgiving. What kind of fruits and veggies do we see here? I guess all veggies. What do we see?
Corn,
Corn,
pepper.
Yeah.
I guess that's a pepper.
right here.
Yeah.
Carrots,
Cauliflower.
beets,
Cauliflower,
Cauliflower, onions,
Onion.
onions,
radishes,
Potatoes.
carrots.
Peas.
I heard beets. Did someone say beets?
Yep.
yes,
What do
Carrots,
we have here?
peas,
That's
beans, and that looks
Yeah.
like a tomato.
Yep. And then this guy right here.
Oh,
cucumber.
Cucumber. Yeah.
Oh, good work, guys.
Turnip.
Can you,
Yep.
I'm sure some of you even own. Do you know what type of container this is?
It's a
porcelain.
a white porcelain bowl with a black or blue rim.
Well, it's,
I love those.
it's a bowl. It's black, or it's blue and white, but it's an enamel bowl.
Yes.
Yeah.
Enamel.
Enamel.
Okay.
Yeah. So I remember my grandmother having those, and we would like chip the heck out of them.
Yeah.
Out of her thing, and like, you know, she did not appreciate that. But yeah, and then it's on a cutting board.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So of these vegetables we see here, who is cooking with any of them this tomorrow?
I'm not really cooking tomorrow.
Me neither.
I am.
What are you cooking, Gail?
I will use onions in my dressing, and we probably will have some kind of green beans.
Okay. What about, is anyone roasting carrots or beets?
I will roast carrots.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And I bought a pumpkin pie.
My kind of cook.
Yeah.
And we are having a Cornish hen with raspberry sauce.
Ah.
Yummy.
Well, we don't
We're-
have any of those ingredients here.
We're
No,
having
don't forget any
traditional.
fruit.
We're having traditional Thanksgiving pizza with ham and pineapple on it.
You're having a Hawaiian Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Would have wished it to be. So this artist, Grant Wood, we've spent some time with this artist before on this painting.
Ah,
So it's the same artist.
Ah,
that makes sense.
Yeah, so he was a Iowa boy, South Dakota or Iowa, Midwest, and these were types of things that I'm sure he was used to farming and seeing. And all right, so we're leaving our sides now. And did someone say they were eating an apple pie or making an apple pie? Am I making that up? Yeah,
making it up.
I'm hoping someone's making an apple pie. But we've got here this beautiful photograph, so a totally different medium. What do you notice about this photograph? Do you have any thoughts?
It's an apple sliced in half.
Yeah, it's cut in half.
You can see the texture of the meat of the apple.
And the seeds.
Over crisp. You can just like taste the crisp of this one.
You can see juice running off the apple.
Right in here.
Yeah, and down below there are 2 drops.
Oh, you know what that is actually? It's, if you ever notice, sometimes the bottom of the apple has that like almost like brown little.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's.
I think that's what it is. At least the way it looks on my skin.
Yeah, I think.
from the
I think.
flour.
What'd you say?
I was trying to decide if it was water or wood.
Oh,
It's the leftover of the bloom
Yes.
Yeah,
and where it turned into the apple.
yes, okay.
Is anyone making an apple pie?
No,
No.
now I wish I
We
was.
usually
Yeah.
do.
My mom is probably making apple bread, but I won't get any of it.
We usually do, but we're making blueberry pie instead.
Oh.
And
Yummy.
Hans
Yeah.
has volunteered to bake an upside down cranberry cake.
Oh, that sounds
Go
yummy.
ahead.
Good for him.
Yeah, we'll see if he gets around to it.
No pressure there at all.
No pressure. Now you're all my witnesses.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Right. Yeah, we'll follow up next Wednesday and see if that cake ever turned out.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So take a picture. I want to see what it looks
Okay.
like.
We'll do that.
So this particular artist, he was a photographer. He photographed most of his life, and he was inspired by a photographer, Edward Weston, and then he actually met him in 1948. And when he met him, then his artwork started to shift. So this was taken in 1953. He met Edward Weston, the photographer, in 1948. And this was the type of stuff Edward Weston was photographing that made him pretty famous for these pepper photographs. Have any of you seen any of these pepper photographs before?
No, I have not.
No.
So like in art history and photography 101, like, you know, freshman year in college, these are like the photographs they always show of Edward Weston. And he's photographed all sorts of things. And his son was actually a photographer too, Brett Weston. So if you ever see those names, they are related. But Edward Weston was known for taking these pictures of peppers and really focusing on the sculptural form of the object, not so much the function of the pepper, but the beauty of the shape of the object. So this is technically a still life, which is a genre as old as time, but he's doing it in a new way with new technology. And that's what's kind of cool about, you know, Bullock and Weston. They were taking an old style of art, this idea of a still life, and using new technology to help viewers see it in a totally different way.
That's really pretty.
Does anybody know what kind of pepper that is?
No, I don't know. I
Looks like the size of it makes it look like a bell pepper,
Yeah.
the bell pepper.
Yeah.
but it almost looks like the shape of a hand,
Yeah.
kind of curled up. But
It
bell
does.
peppers can get some really funny shapes to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially the red ones, I find.
Mhm.
So he was, I don't know if you've ever heard of the artist Diego Rivera, Frida Kahlo's husband.
Yes.
He was a muralist. And he and Edward Weston had met and talked, and Edward was really inspired by Rivera to look at the shape and the beauty of things in nature as they are. And so that's when he really was interested in taking these naturally made, you find them as they are type of objects, but creating an elevated art form. So several of the, like Gail mentioned, the hand, he would twist, like there's some photographs of his where he would twist a pepper on its side, and it would look almost like a hand was coming at you, but it was just would light it and position it in a way that you almost had to do a double take. Oh, that's a pepper. I would never have known if I really hadn't explored the photograph.
I think the fact that he used the oval plate behind it also enhances the shape and the beauty of the photograph.
I agree. You're right. It really helps you focus in on the flatness of the plate, helps you really appreciate the texture of the pepper. You can see there's some bruising down here. He wouldn't mask his flaws. He wouldn't touch up the photographs to make sure their imperfections weren't there. It's simply as it was. All right, we're going to look at one more artist. Our friend Roy Lichtenstein. So this artwork is in our collection, and this is a screen print on plastic, which that at the time was pretty unheard of. Screen prints were usually on canvases or paper, so the fact that he did this on plastic was pretty not radical, but pretty new at the time. And what do we see here?
Why would you have stop chopsticks with a sandwich and Coke?
Oh, that is that what
That's
I think they're
straws.
straws.
Oh,
For some
that
reason,
makes
that reminds me
more
of the 50s.
It
Yeah.
does.
50s
Well,
thunder.
he painted it, or he's printed it in 1964, so we're not too far out of the 50s. Soda fountains and diners and things like that were there.
It looks like an advertisement
Yeah, it does.
for a soda fountain or a diner.
You're right, Gail. So
PepsiCo.
Mhm.
Pepsi.
yeah,
The right
Doesn't it
color.
look like that?
So the sandwich looks like it might be a BLT
ooh.
That or ham and cheese for a
or
kid.
ham and cheese. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
was
the
thinking
straws.
when I pulled this artwork, I was thinking what Gail said earlier, the leftover sandwiches the next day after Thanksgiving. You guys have Thanksgiving. You have it for the leftovers. This particular artwork, yeah, he was a pop artist, so he was working at the same time as Andy Warhol, which I'm sure many of you or all of you know, and Klaus Oldenburg. He's another pop artist. So they were really inspired by the things they were seeing every day, which were advertisements, and that's pop culture, or comic books. So he was really into comic books.
Oh, yeah.
So on these oils on canvases, it's not so much here, but you can see the remnants of it, the color palette. He would go in and he would paint these little dots, but on large canvases. So it would look like he took a comic book and just blew it up, but it wasn't printed, it was all painted. This is a print. Oh, go ahead.
The picture on the plate, the one on the left that's cut off by the straw looks like a fork, but the one right in front looks like a wing.
Oh, yeah, okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, really simple lines and lines that you would easily identify. So, of course you'd think a fork with food. I'm not sure if this actually is a fork, just given it is a sandwich, but
But
it's
couldn't that also be the reflection of the light on the shiny plate?
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like the
Yeah, that's
because
true.
reflections kind of appear white, especially if the plate is blue and it's a shiny blue. Then you're going to see what looks like white. That's the reflection and the glare of the light.
So and you can see some of the highlighting here too, like the highlighting along her face.
Yeah.
That idea of highlighting by not having any sort of color there, or really just a very simple color.
Mhm.
So when he made this, this is again just like the other photographs we've seen, where it was a totally new take on a totally traditional topic, which is a still life. So he was able to, maybe it is a BLT, maybe it is a grilled cheese or a ham and cheese sandwich, something that was popular at the time and still is today at a diner, and putting it, making it fine art. And so this particular print it came in a series, and it was called 10 by 10. And so it was 10 prints from 10 different artists. And this was one of the prints in it.
Okay.
And only 500 prints of it were made. So a lot of museums in the US do have a copy of this particular print. But it was one of the first prints that was not done on paper, that was done on plastic. And it was kind of like we had talked about in the past with lithography and this idea of printing. It was able to reach a wider audience. More people were able to afford artwork for the home when it was done on cheaper material and mass produced. So people could have, families who might not have typically been able to afford fine art were now able to bring very famous artists like Roy Lichtenstein into the home.
Hey, one more question.
Please, shoot.
What process is screen print on plastic?
So screen printing is, oh man, I'm always bad with printing processes. Okay, so screen printing it's actually on a screen, the image that you want. It's kind of like on a screen, and then you press the screen down on the paper, and then pour the colors over it that you want, and you drag a squeegee over it, And then when you lift it up, the white spots are what had been covered by the design on the screen. And then the parts that were left open are where the paint actually went through.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so you like people screen print shirts a lot. Like if you see, you know,
screen print. Okay, yeah.
It's exactly that, but he did it on plastic instead of paper.
When did straws come in packages of 2 in one wrapper?
It's art.
I still can't get away from the chopsticks. My first thought was it was a contrast painting where you had this wonderful food you couldn't eat because you had chopsticks on the plate and chopsticks for real and forks on the plate.
Oh, yeah, like a frustrated lunch.
Finger food. Had to be finger food.
Yeah, well, anyway, sorry.
No, and a lot of art.
Great observation.
Soda and sandwich, even though it's untitled technically.
Yeah.
A lot of people call it soda and sandwich.
Maybe he was making a statement about straws and chopsticks.
Comparison.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was an environmentalist of his day.
That's right. That's right.
Warning everyone of the dangers of the straw for the turtle.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a kind of an answer to your question about the straws.
Okay.
Let's see. Hold on just a second. I lost it. A drinking straw, it was common to use 2 of them to reduce the effort needed to take each sip.
Oh,
Interesting.
So, in some of the old TV shows with the soda fountains, you see the kids using 2 straws
Yeah.
so that you're getting more beverage with less effort.
Now they just make the straws bigger around.
Yeah.
If they want to do that.
And you could share the drink.
Yeah.
Yes. So they're probably I'm trying to find out if there was a particular time when 2 straws were popular.
I'm sure that.
Probably around that time.
Yeah. Or if not, right before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, so now that we've discussed the preparation for your Thanksgiving, we've got our sides, we had our pie.
And leftovers.
Yeah, let's talk about our party planning. And I know this year is not looking anywhere what it's looked like in the past with our party planning because of COVID. But is anybody doing like a Zoom for your guest list? Is anyone doing like a Zoom dinner table?
I thought about it, but I don't think I'm going to go through the effort.
Of doing Zoom?
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
What about having anybody actually over if you have family that lives close, or if people are in your pod? Is anyone coming over?
No.
Oh.
My daughter and the baby and her husband are coming over to our house.
Oh, that's fun.
There's a group of about half a dozen of us here in the apartments that we're going to get together.
Oh, that's nice. You don't have to go too far. Okay, so then occasion is Thanksgiving. Party theme, eat until your heart's content. What kind of things are we serving? I know we started kind of talking about some sides, and I guess, Yetta, you guys are doing Cornish hens.
We're doing Cornish hens, yeah, just because it's the 2 of us and they're not so big.
Yeah.
Is anyone doing a full-blown, like, big turkey?
Yeah.
I am.
A 13 pounder because it's just the 2 of us.
13? Oh my goodness, that thing's been thawing since last weekend, I bet. I read something in the news that said sales of between 5 and 8 pound turkeys are up this year because so many people are just staying local. So.
And you can't find them.
Yeah, no, I went to the Target to get ours, and I found like one of the last 6 pound turkeys. I was like running through the aisles like, we found one.
Oh, I went to Albertsons yesterday here in White Settlement and they had plenty of turkeys.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Well, if anyone needs them, go to the Albertsons on White Settlement.
We talked about just doing a turkey breast.
Uh-huh.
And one year I did that, and I just cooked 2 turkey breasts because most everybody in our group likes the white meat.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But I actually brine my turkey for 8 to 14 hours
Wow.
and butterfly it
Yeah.
Yep.
before I roast it.
Sounds good.
That sounds good. What about, is anyone, I think Gail, all right, I jumped in right when you were saying earlier that you're making homemade rolls.
Yes.
Yum.
I'm leaving that to Grant's Biscuits to carry the load for me this year. Is anyone bread or having a special roll situation happening?
Pizza crust.
Pizza crust, yeah. Yeah.
Ooh.
So Gail, are you making yeast rolls?
Yes.
Okay, great.
And we usually also do part of it in cinnamon rolls. And that's what everybody has in the morning if they want something to eat. We don't really make breakfast on Thanksgiving because everybody wants to save their room for the big meal. But if I have the cinnamon rolls, they'll snack on those in the morning to tide them till lunch.
Wow.
Yum.
When we did do Thanksgiving cooking, we always did Sister Schubert's rolls.
That sounds really good. My husband said he did those growing up. I haven't had one.
They are good.
They are very good. That's what my husband's family had growing up, so that we adopted that.
I think I actually have a package of those in the freezer.
Oh.
And then what about decorations? Is anyone doing a pretty tablescape, or does anyone like flowers, or are they doing the napkins in a pretty way?
Nope.
Candlelight.
Candles. Yep.
Not this year.
That's beautiful.
I have my Thanksgiving table stays with the decoration in the center, and I have the napkins in fancy napkin rings right now. I usually switch some of that out when we get ready to eat because that's kind of what I keep on it right now.
I always remember my mom and my aunt, because we always go up north for Thanksgiving, so it's weird not going this year, but my aunt always had Post-its all over the table of what needed to go where when it was time.
Oh my gosh.
So it was like every cousin knew, like, okay, here are the potatoes. And you knew you had to put it on that Post-it, or my Aunt Barbara was not happy about wherever you put it. So there was a science to it at our house.
What I miss most is the big gathering so that you can have a little bit of all these different things.
Yeah.
Yes.
And when it's a small gathering, you can't have as many choices because there's not enough people to eat all of it.
Yeah.
So,
When I was growing up, I can remember sitting at the kids' table away from the adults.
Was there something that your families would make that was always like, you only got it on this holiday and you always look forward to it? Does anyone have one of those dishes in mind?
Pea salad.
Okay.
Yeah. And I might actually make some of that, maybe.
Cool. Keep the tradition going. Gail, what about you? I saw you raise your hand.
So there's 2 Jello salads. One is kind of like the pistachio salad that we talked about yesterday, except it's made with lime Jello, sour cream, and marshmallows, and pecans, and pineapple.
Wow.
Oh, come to your house.
And you let it set up like you could do it in a Jello mold or whatever.
Yeah. I remember Jello molds. We had Jello molds too. And
then when my mom was alive, she had this salad that nobody else liked. It was made with lime Jello, and it had celery and carrots and onions in it.
Wow.
No.
But
And we always had
at the table every year, even though no one touched it.
except my mom. My mom loved it, and we always made it because she liked it.
Oh, how funny.
We had something called pink stuff, which was Cool Whip with either strawberry or cherry, usually strawberry Jello powder mixed in it, and then fruit cocktail, extra pineapple, coconut, and marshmallows.
Okay,
And
so
I think they put pecans in it too, although I didn't eat the pecans.
That's what grossed you out of that?
I didn't like the texture.
Yeah.
I liked the squishy, mushy texture of everything else.
We did a similar tour last year. Some of the artworks you saw, but different. And we talked about, we all shared recipes actually because we were in person, so we could write one of our Thanksgiving recipes, and then we all exchanged recipes. And of the 6 couples that were there, 3 of them just wrote the recipes for the Jello Salads both of you were explaining. I was amazed that this is something that appears at so many dinner tables on Thanksgiving. So
yeah,
there are a lot of good recipes apparently that have been around.
So there's another one that I like to do that's actually a frozen, and it's made with crushed cranberries and pineapple, and you freeze it. And I have one of those tube molds that's a tube, and you put it in there and freeze it, and then you slice it.
Oh, wow.
Oh, okay.
Or you could freeze it in little muffin tins to make individual servings.
And then do you put like whip on top or ice cream or something else with it?
No, it kind of has an ice cream texture to it, but it had chopped pecans and chopped cranberries and pineapple in it. And I haven't had it in a couple years. It was a favorite of mine and my grandmother, and she passed away 2 years ago, and it's been 3 years ago since she was at our house for Thanksgiving or Christmas. So I haven't had it since then.
All right, friends. Well, I don't know about you, but it's getting to be lunchtime, and all this talk is starting to make me hungry.
Yes.
Me
I'm
too.
right there with you. Hungry.
But I hope all of you have a very happy and healthy Thanksgiving, and I will see you all next Wednesday. And I did not look to see what theme is because I'm terrible at.
Let's see, I can tell you. Just a minute. We will be doing family next week.
Oh, wow.
Normally we think of our family by this time next week, but we're all kind of socially distant. So we'll be talking happy thoughts of family. Okay?
All right.
Thank you,
Thank
Thank you,
Peggy.
Peggy.
Welcome, guys.
Happy Thanksgiving, Peggy.
Yeah.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
guys.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Oh, no, we're not going bye-bye.
All right, so what was
That's
that?
cute.
Yeah, Abigail's going crazy. She thought we were going bye-bye.
Oh.
No.
Are we doing the after meeting today? Or is it not because of Thanksgiving preparations?
We can do it for just a little bit. My refrigerator that did not come yesterday is supposed to be here between 11:45 and 12:15.
Oh.
Gail, great.
It has to come right behind me, so I'll probably have to cut out whenever the truck pulls up.
Okay.
So,
I figured people would be cooking.
what's
Sorry?
that? What'd you say, Janine?
I said I figured most people would be cooking.
Oh, not starting that quite yet, but can you all see my screen?
Yes.
So tomorrow, although originally we were not going to have a session, Martha has graciously agreed to host.
Thank
And
you.
the
Thank you.
discussion is hats. So you're to bring your favorite hat and be prepared to talk about that hat.
I think I only own one hat.
A gimme cap or a Christmas cap or a snow cap or
A bed cap.
a bed cap. Yeah.
Cowboy
a
hat.
Babushka.
Yeah.
Earmuffs. Something funny or something with a story.
Okay. Well, I don't know yet if we are joining or not, Martha.
Well,
Yeah.
if you do, fine, and if not, we'll love you anyway.
Yeah, we'll just talk about you.
That's right. It's good. But I will know because my ears will be ringing.
That's
Okay.
right.
Yeah.
We'll be there, Martha.
Yeah, we'll be there.
Okay. Okay. I
I'm
look
gonna try.
forward to that.
Mm-hmm.
And y'all are going to have to, it'll be my first time to host, so I'm learning.
Okay.
That's all right.
Yes.
So I have shared in the chat box the link to go over to Fifth Street Cafe.
Mm-hmm.
And keep in mind that when you get there, you will arrive before me, and I will join you just as soon as everybody exits out of this meeting.
Okay.
All
So,
righty. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
those
All
of
right.
you who don't join us over in the cafe, have a wonderful day tomorrow, whatever you do.
Thank you.
And take a few minutes to think about the things that we're grateful for.
Yes.
One of which would be that we are all well and healthy enough to convene via our wonderful avenue of Zoom.
That's right.
Yes.
And
Good.
I appreciate you all so much. And I'm so glad that you've made the decision to join our program and be a part of being connected to this group.
Yeah. Well, it's our pleasure to,
It's our pleasure.
to be
It's
part of
our
this group.
pleasure, yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
So
Yeah.
I'll see you all over in Fifth Street Cafe in just a few minutes.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Okay,
Bye.
thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.